We have so many stories in our lives, but our stories are not always heard. On the Hear My True Story podcast, we tell our own true stories.
Before the white car parked, our head teacher had scattered. Looking at him, I could only see his tie that was flying backwards, waving at us, and he disappeared in thin air.
I want to share my life story. I want to share my voice with the people because I know that just a small joke I can tell through this podcast, it will make someone smile.
When you ask me what I fear most in life, I would definitely respond to you and say it's fear itself.
We are fighting for togetherness. We are fighting for equal rights. We are fighting to end injustice.
You don't have to be a storyteller or writer because, guess what? Life writes the best stories.
Hear my true story.
I welcome you again to the Hear My True Story podcast. It is me, your host, Otako. In this episode, we have a conversation with one of the storytellers from the Hear My True Story project in Kampala, Nathan Katongole. In our conversation, we shall get to know more about the storyteller, more about the backstory behind the storyteller. I hope you enjoy our conversation.
Welcome to Hear My True Story Kampala Season 1, where we tell true stories and have conversations about real-life experiences with non-storytellers and storytellers from Uganda. Hear My True Story Kampala is a joint project between Hear My True Story podcast and Omoti Creative, an organization in Uganda. Omoti Creative is an arts organization that provides safe and free learning spaces for creative arts, educational support, and cultural exchange opportunities to children and youths in Uganda.
Hello, our listeners. My name is Otako. Yes, today I'm here again with a conversation with Nathan. Yeah, I hope I mentioned the name in a very right way. Either Nathan or the Nathan. I think I didn't mention it very well. So I would like to welcome you, Nathan, to our podcast, Hear My True Story. Nathan is one of the participants for the Hear My True Story project Kampala. It's our first season 1, where we worked with storytellers, artists in Uganda to share their personal true experience. And all this was made possible because of our collaboration and support from Omti Creative in Uganda, but also the artists that came on board saying, yeah, let us tell our own stories. And that's why we are here to converse with Nathan. Nathan shared a beautiful story about his experience, his life as a child studying in Uganda and living in the village in Uganda. So maybe today we shall get to know more about that. So Nathan, please, could you introduce yourself for our listeners to get to know more about you?
Thank you so much, William. Thank you so much, William. Dear listeners, hi, how are you? I hope this finds you very good and safe. My name's Katongole Henry Nathan. I'm a performing artist by profession. I major in acting, theater, and screen. I'm a voiceover artist for radio and TV. I'm a commercial model for still and video, a storyteller and a content creator, and I work with the acting beasts centered in Uganda, as well as the orangutans management. And generally, I am a freelance actor.
Wow, you are really so many things. You are all-rounder artist. You are a model. You are an actor. You are a dancer too. Yeah.
Yeah. Dancer.
Oh wow, that's really nice. So, have you ever told a story, or are you a storyteller really, or you're not a storyteller?
I'm a storyteller. I've told a story before, one or two. Yeah, and besides that, I tell my story every day because this is the life I live. I believe by nature we are all storytellers. Just that sometimes we just don't take extra notice that we actually take of our lives.
Well,
So,
and
yeah.
how do you find storytelling in general?
Storytelling in general, fun, I should say. And besides fun, lot that comes along with it. One of the things I usually share most about storytelling is the relief we get in life. We usually have personal frustrations that come along in our lives. And because we are so much enclosed into situations that we don't have people we can open up to, having a story told, shared to the world, anyone gives you a relief, first of all. Secondly, it could give you a path to growth. Thirdly, it could give you a room for you to reason out what you thought was possible. Actually, notice at the end of the day, it's possible. Because you've told a story, you get to hear what people think, people advise, people criticize, people do whatever comes along with it. But end line is you usually pick something positive that is going to push your life to a better start. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really true. And I find it too like that, because storytelling, we do it every day. Anyone in life tells a story, because life is a story. That's how I say it. Yeah,
exactly.
So you said you are an artist. Yeah. Why did you choose to be an artist, and how did you become to be an artist?
I didn't choose to become an artist. This is a natural call. But it's a call that I did notice. So I literally have no inspiration. I have a motivation. And my motivator to be an artist, when I was growing up as a child, I used to watch a lot of Mr. Bean, Rowan Atkinson. I grew up with this guy all my entire childhood. And my mom tells me stories that I used to be in class way back in nursery, like preschool. They used to tell her that I would be in class and they would wonder why is the entire class quiet. And when teachers come to the windows to peep in, they would find Katongole acting out Mr. Bean, something he watched at home. He would be in class acting it out. Everyone is quiet, polite, and listening. And out of the blue, the class is bursting out of laughter. So I grew up with this thing, and my mom was noticing. Even in high school, senior 4, senior 5, senior O level, and A level, I found myself so much involved in dancing, organizing competitions, things to do like talent search at school. As so much involved. So after my high school, in the time of going to campus and vacation, when they call out someone who was trying to create an avenue to perform, a school in Uganda called the Mariam Dagide Film and Performance Center. And this is when my mom motivated. Like between this time where you would be doing nothing, how about if you try and go? She actually did this not in the context of go, but for her, she had this mind, seeing this child grow up with a kind of artistic thing in him. Why don't I give it a chance? This is how I joined the arts, by the way. So it's my mom who motivated me, and Mariam Dagide helped me discover my abilities and what I can do. And from there, this is the profession I'm practicing.
Wow. You are really lucky that you had your mom who motivated you, who inspired you, who gave you these platforms to watch Mr. Bean, to go and take into a film and performing arts institution in Uganda, and you got get the skills. That's so wonderful to hear. But I want to ask, is it that for all parents in Uganda that they support their kids to choose their career, or do they dictate what their children should do?
To be honest, in Uganda, most parents, I should say, things are a bit revolving, because now people who are currently arts. I'll center so much on the profession I'm doing because it's what I best understand. But of course, interrelating with the other aspects of life, parents have not been supported enough in terms of decision making, what their kids want to take on as careers in life. And for me, in my family, I'm a living example. There is no one in my family who has been in support of me being an artist. Even when my mom reached a certain extent and she was scared, maybe I gave the child a wrong motivation. You know? But I've used the skill and they've seen the benefits of the skill, not implicating that being an artist is being a worst behaved human being in life because of being judged by how you appear, because you have messed up hair, because, you know, they're even shocked sometimes you can speak very good English. They're very shocked you can make certain decisions that are just so perfect. So parents have not been supportive in terms of choice of career, their kids. There has been a lot of dictation. There is still dictation. But I'm glad things are quite changing currently and people are starting to listen to them in terms of making decisions for what kind of careers they want to take on in. So yeah.
I mean, why are they changing in perspective with the arts? Why are they changing? Is there a reason why they are changing?
I think that they're looking up to, one, they're seeing what the revolution has come with. That's to be honest. They are now, because I usually tell people an artist being in art at the right mirror, art is like the reflection to society. Sometimes the decisions made in our homes that parents do not really give it so much thought. You know, because you're just a parent limited to a decision, you take it, whether you are thinking too hard.
I think I've again lost. And Nathan, would you please go back a second what you said before, like 2 seconds? Because I'd lost you. I couldn't hear you. It was maybe the internet.
So you hear me now?
Yes, I hear you now.
Okay, so on the issue of parents stating in terms of career their kids, why it's evolving and changing is, one, they've seen the revolution, what it brought, you know, the changes that have come up with. The fact that people make decisions in their homes because they're the parents, have no choice rather than making this, whether they are right or wrong. But with the arts, us who are living these lives every day, because being an artist is being able to recreate and rebrand people's lives. We have even given them room to see how best they can make their homes, reflecting off what we present to them. You understand? So these kind of revolutions that have come along with the arts, their abilities, their works, have influenced at some point the code of conduct of parents in terms of career decisions for them. They're starting to see more light because of how we execute creation grounds in our profession.
Yeah, I really understand that, how it is. Yeah. In your story, you talk about your mom and yourself. Could you maybe draw a picture of your family? I mean, were you only you and your mom, or did you have brothers and sisters?
Okay, I am a born of, I have a big sister. We are only 2 kids. My mom. I am the last born. And then my father, but of course my big sister, surprisingly or shockingly, not from the same dad. Don't share fathers. Each one of us has their own dad. And my mom has had issues. Marriage. She got married at quite a young age. And in terms of decision making and in terms of seeing life, back then in that time, it was quite hard. You know, I was born in 1995. So you can think of that time frame for a parent who is about 20 years or 18 years giving birth to a son. You know? Most of their decisions by then were not influenced by them. That their parents who take decisions for them. You know? So it was a hassle for my mom to keep up in marriage. Something came up and divorce had to come around. And by the time a divorce came around, this is something that just hit me because young as I was about 12 years. That was 2007. I was in primary 7. Happened at a time where I most needed my parents. Unfortunately, separated. So living up to all that with a separated family and stuff, it has come a lot of things for me to learn in life where I am today.
Oh, yeah, wow, yeah. So you talk about your village, your village. How was it for you those few days in the village? What activities did you do? Maybe you could also share with us. You can paint a picture for someone who's listening.
Okay, some of
who
my
listen to your story. What the village is. What is a village in Uganda? Maybe someone doesn't know. Maybe we have listeners all over the world that have not lived in Uganda and they would like to have a picture of a village setting. What is the village setting in Uganda like?
Okay, my village in particular, my father's village, was a very remote village. Back then in 2009, there was less development. Time when there was even no electricity. Modernity was just thinking of approaching those areas. It was so remote. This is a time where you'd have a trading center that has mud houses made of mud, get rigs and mud, and someone puts up a shop that has what we call in Uganda tadoba. They're like small lighting that just like what you could relate it with is like a candle, you know?
Yeah.
Those kind of shops that have those kind of lightings, and they are selling this cooking oil that they have to measure for you in very tiny things. They have these small things. The setup was just so fun, and someone has to just make very good cassava in the morning and make pancakes, make what. And one of my favorite activities back then in the village, that the small time I stayed there before this incident happened, I used to love feeding my grandfather's cows, because every morning at 7 a.m. we had to milk the cow and get this milk, move the share of the home. Then we have to take the other milk to different places to sell. We had particular customers where we had to drop this milk every morning. So I used to enjoy that, waking up early in the morning. Sunrise is just coming up. Next thing you know, they're teaching me how to prepare a cow for milking, and sometimes things would even go bad. You're scared of touching this teat of the cow to just milk out. And sometimes they'll tell you, be careful, that cow will kick you,
Did you were you ever kicked by a cow?
I survived. It kicked, but it wasn't in range. But it would kick and pour all the milk. That is a gone day now. That's a loss. And I used to enjoy going down to the farms, cut off that grass it used to be on in Uganda, but they call it ebisagazi. They have a shape like those of sugar canes. They're still young, I used to enjoy feeding the cow that, and sometimes it would be so nice that you just put this thing in your palm and the cow picks it straight from your palm. You would feel that bond. You'd spend the whole day seated up on the corral just watching the cow. That was one of my most favorite activities. And I used to love swimming. You would go for water, and you have these wells in the village where water flows naturally. Don't know the source, just flows naturally, and it's clean water. You're free to drink, and you are not going to get any side effects. Like it was just pure water. And sometimes it would go stagnant somewhere, and would use those spots to swim. So you would come back, people who left home at 1, go and pick water, come back at 4:30, and you just feel like you've been sleeping in ashes. Your face is just so messed up. Now you have to get the canes for these. And sometimes even the caning was fun, by the way. You would enjoy being caned for some reason, because you're telling your sibling or your brother, let me see how much you can take it. Show you how much I can take it.
Yeah. For our listeners, I would like to make it clear what Nathan is talking about, canings, like beating you up for doing something wrong. But he says they kept doing it because they also enjoyed it. I don't know why. I don't know why.
These are some of the activities I used to enjoy. The long distance walks from home, trading center, they've sent you for something. Those walks were just so fun. Like being in that school, like in that home, like the village setting, you are living in your own world until they tell you you're going to visit an auntie the other side of the village, or you're going to visit an uncle the other side. That's when you would feel a different experience of, oh, so people take on cars. That's the only time you have to iron a cloth. Remember those charcoal iron boxes? You have to put in charcoal. It's really red heat, hot, iron a shirt, small trouser. That's the only time you're going to put on shoes, because you are going to visit someone else in area. And that's when you would know, hey, so they take taxis, take this kind of cars. And the cars were even rare. About 4 cars a day. You'd spend a day sitting on the road and you would not notice any car, only to see bicycles and walking, even people grazing their cows. So the village setting was just a world of its own. You would just stay there, enjoy what is there, and when time comes, you have to leave that place to a different place, or probably you're going to school or visit someone. Now that's the time for adventure. Yeah.
Yeah, because village, no watching TV. No,
there was no TV. There was even no electricity, my friend. There was no electricity. Not even solar. By then, solar was not even here. It's when the darkness starts at 7, everyone is out inside by 7. Light
7
up those
PM.
small you light up those small candles, and by 10 or 9, those lights have to be out, because they used to use paraffin. Now that paraffin was also expensive, on top of being expensive, you have to move a long journey to find that paraffin, because a fuel pump was even rare. Someone had to go to nearby town, quite developed, has an actual pump, paraffin. They stock their jerry cans, 420-liter jerry cans, or even one of paraffin to supply the entire village. And they will tell you, if you go to a taco's shop and there's no paraffin, forget. That one, you're done. It means there is no paraffin in the entire village. You know how you would have that one human being supplying you?
Supplying you. Yeah, I understand. It's really a really interesting one. Yeah. So, Nathan,
yes, please.
You, as an artist, do you work with any company, or you are independent artist?
Something I didn't talk about. I do. I'm a songwriter as well and a rapper. I do some good. I just haven't. But with music, I work with the Orangutans Management, the company I started up with my friends way back in school in about 2012 when I was in senior 5. But in the actual ground, right, that is taking most of my time right now, which is acting. I work with the Acting Beasts. Now, Acting Beasts is a trio. There are 3 guys: Katongole Henry Nathan, Biamukama Brand Powers, and Kaiwa Nicholas. And starting up Acting Beasts was the initiative we started way back in about 2016 when we were working with Fosam Uganda. We had a school's theatre program in Uganda where we would act literature plays that were on syllabus for O-level and A-level. And this is where we met as a team. In terms of casting and production, there's where we had a merge. There we had a natural connection in terms of what we were doing. And this just kept sparking in our minds. So we thought of something that would create, in terms of, because people have created production houses, people have created different avenues. But we're like, can't we create something in acting that can be a brand of not being one person, but a brand that can do things in terms of acting to make acting more standard, more founded, more strong. Came up with the idea of acting. And why the Acting Beasts? Because 1, we're already actors. Means we do acting. And now the beasts, we felt the fire within us. We had this fire within us of being who can put out what it takes, whatever it calls for, deliver what we have on. So that fire that was burning, best described as beasts, because there is no one who would not fear a beast. Becomes a beast. So we came up with the Acting Beasts, and we majorly center on acting. We are an acting brand in Uganda. All we do is acting and acting and acting. Whatever the acting calls for, the Acting Beasts have it. That's the
Yeah. So if you are there and you're a listener and you're looking for actors in Uganda and you are having a project in Uganda or even East Africa, reach out to Acting Beast.
And I'll definitely share with you the links and social media handles of the Acting Beasts as a brand.
Definitely. I will put them on the podcast.
If there is room, we can also give you more. We have the brand t-shirts, we have brand jumpers, we have brand capes. To give you the feel of how to do this thing. Please feel free.
I'm really excited to get to know more about the Acting Beast in Uganda. Yes, and the story, how it came up like that. Yeah, maybe we can organize another conversation on our podcast, just targeting the Acting Beast. We can stay in touch. For now, our dear listeners, we stop here, but join us in part 2 of this conversation with Nathan.
These stories were directed by Zoe the Storyteller. Audio production for the stories was done by Adnan Singh Kumba. Many thanks to our project coordinator Nicholas Kaiwa and all the storytellers of Hear My True Story Kampala Season 1. For more stories, please visit hearmytruestory.com. For more information about Umuti Kreativ, visit umutikreativ.com or send an email to info@umuti.org. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to our podcast, Music by Edwin Matovo, hosted and produced by Otako. Subscribe to our podcast for more stories and visit us on our website, hearmytruestory.com, for more stories. All the links are listed in the show notes of this podcast.